Hey there, everybody. I'm trying to fix my hair when the video's already started. Anyways, so like I am up late because I'm working and I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So I want to tilt this up a little bit so that the microphone works. Hey, Nikia. I have no idea. Hey, Fire. I have no idea who's on this late. I just looked at the clock and realized that I'm going live at 1:22 Eastern Time. But this video will be here for, whatever. So there's some big stuff going on in the basically what I consider to be the non-POC conjure community. Panthea Con it's an all gods conference. I went in 2004 and I was amazed because they had a panel about African traditional religions, but there were no black people. I remember asking my former mambo, because she's not the person I initiated with, just the person who was part of my introduction to voodoo. When we went out to eat one day, where are all the black people in our house? It was then when I started to see how, because I was introduced to voodoo as like a formal religion by white people. And, I believe that, they gave me the information that they could. A lot of it was solid. A lot of it is not, and that is simply because what I've been finding out is that a lot of people who think they're getting real initiations, even Black Americans into ATRs in foreign countries, often are not given real information, or they're given misinformation for whatever reason. But I digress. It just became very apparent to me that I saw a lot of the things that we created as Black people discussed, but not represented. And that's a systematic problem with the United States of America, and a systematic problem with the entire world, where, our culture, our food, I don't know if you guys have seen Trevor Noah's stand up, but he was saying if you're going to kick Mexicans out, you can't have tacos anymore. And I'm not at home, I'm house sitting at a friend's house. And I've seen our things used, I've seen our things commercialized, but I rarely have seen us profit or flourish by any of this activity. I would think that a visitor to the tradition or religion would be like, I'm going to make sure that you all are seen and heard. But instead, what happens is usually is people then they take the spotlight, where maybe their elders or people like that should have been at the forefront of these types of things. I'm yet to see, I'm sure they exist, when a non-person of color writes a book outside of their ancestral magical practice, or at least outside their ancestral line, any collaboration even with people of color, like co-authoring or something like that, I'm sure it happens, but it's rare. So, yeah, yes, it's like you want the good stuff, you want the power, because that has been what I have noticed from a lot of non-POCs when they try to come into these realms and areas of magic. I have friends that I highly respect that disagree with me. I have people who are basically made themselves my sworn enemy because I have an opinion, and I've posted screenshots of that conversation last night. Even the author of this Harriet Tubman book are you eating a potato chip? My friend's dog. I hope that you didn't just eat a muncho. Anyways, he didn't even message me. Somebody who always constantly inserts themselves into controversy did. And that's one of the reasons why I really stepped away from that whole Superstars of Conjure group. And the group is primarily made up of non-people of color. It just seems to be that they keep up more shit and more problems. Yeah, I got dragged for liking a post. I don't know all of the details that went on with the whole PantheaCon thing, but what I know is this, is that I think that if you are operating outside of your ancestral practice, there are certain restraints and respect you need to have. I believe that everybody, no matter what color they are, has an ancestral line that they can do magic with. And the constant, coming over to our side for juju has always been very strange to me. Now, there are a lot of people out here who are white appearing who actually have ancestral lines. And that, and the funny thing is spirits that, they represent energies, and the names and the venerations that we give them are from a cultural context, but nothing changes the sun. Nothing changes the water. Nothing changes the earth. Nothing changes the herbs, but nature and the divine creator and the energies that he has created to manipulate said energies. So yeah, they don't look at color. But that's not the problem here. Because of color, because of racism, because of the transatlantic slave trade, black people in this country have built their own schools, religions, churches, etc. Okay? And people don't seem to get that connection. The reason why we are guarded over things is it's twofold. It could be severalfold, but one of them being that if it hadn't been for the continued persecution of people of color, these religions may not exist in their current form. And secondly, our religions, especially the ones that are initiatory, have secrets. You don't see me talking about even basic information about voodoo spirits on Facebook or any social media for that matter. When I teach hoodoo, I teach it from an African ancestral perspective, but I'm not, if you can't find it in a book, that doesn't mean necessarily that it's not true. It means that it's not been written down. We have oral traditions, and we have things that do not die. And so there are a lot of things people want to talk about. Well, why don't we write books about certain deities and venerated ancestors? And a lot of us, and I know just from my personal experience, my ancestors have kind of put the brakes on it. It's not bad in the way that which they did it. They have increased my business. I have increased responsibilities with my family, with my new grandchild. I have my day job. And my whole thing is ancestors have kind of I was approached by the same publisher and the same people, because there are a few, but there are not enough magical for books for Black people. By Black people. And I think that's one of the issues that we are constantly facing. But it's a combination of two things. And people don't also understand it. It's not just the fact that in my situation where the ancestors said, would you cut that out? Dog. Where the ancestors said, you know what? You can't write this. You're having a hard time. You write about everything, and we know you can do it, but you're having a hard time for a reason. Sit back and watch the reason. But the second reason is the reason why we're talking about all this in the first place: racism. Not even able to get your books published. But, especially back in the day where the only books that were published were ones that would basically demonize and dehumanize us and our religions. Yes. And everybody loves, Wicca or introductory spirituality and different things like that. If that's what floats your boat, that's fine. But you got to understand, especially, when you stop to think about the cost, the devotion, the time that it takes for us to initiate into our traditions, it's some intense shit. And it's long and it ain't cheap. We're not apt to really want to give that away. And then what happens is once you initiate into these said traditions, you start to see some of the ties to hoodoo, to ancestor veneration, and you realize how carefully that must be guarded. I've seen people do some real fuck shit on candles with our ancestors, that I consider to be disrespectful, especially, non-POC people. People are actually making candles of deities and burning them, which I've never seen any initiated person ever do. It's really unsettling. We have them specifically encased. And if there's, but an actual figural candle, that's just small things where you see some of the things that we believe in eaten away. To the point where, like I said, people are getting fake initiations or incomplete initiations and coming back and spreading incomplete information. It's very hard to get legitimate initiations as an American, and I don't think that a lot of people really know that. You have to be real careful when you're dealing with your future godparents or searching or divining to find them, because not all of them are equipped nor have the power or the ability or even the bloodline to be adequate for your spiritual needs. And so, like I said, I have no major beef with the author of this book, but I have a problem with people, posting curses and then turning around and saying, oh, it wasn't a curse. This is what I really meant. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with people jumping in my inbox because I liked something. I'm going to have an opinion. It was so funny because the dude that messaged me last night, he's got a reputation for this. It's not the first time he's come at me. And each and every time, I just let him rage. Because I'm not going to look like a fool with a fool. You can show yourself and show how you are and who you are to the entire world. I don't have time for that energy. I got things to do, bills to pay, money to make, people to help. There's my opinion, whether I like or love something. Everybody should be an independent thinker. There are people who I love and who are still on my Facebook friends list who support a non-person of color, writing a book about venerating one of our ancestors. And that's, hey, hi, Shyla. Hey, I've been seeing your pictures. But, right. It's like Toodles. I don't care for it. And, I would put up this big banner, and I'm working with a sister who is starting a publishing company and trying to think of a way of framing a book that will help you guys when you start on your journey into magic, that will not be this, well, first of all, there are reference guides available, and those are great, but it won't be this giving away of sacred information. And that's really hard because you really want to spread the word. Mama Star and I have this conversation all the time, and she was like, look, there was so much garbage out of here when I started writing 14 years ago, and she comes from a way different background, but she still has African roots. But she learned from her mother and from her mother, and they learned, as people did often. There were white people and black people that did practice conjure. And she's just like, I just felt like the information, people were being misled, and I wanted to give them some real, solid information. And I was like, I understand. I felt that way about writing books before too. And I do think that books can be valuable, but at the same time, they can be very destructive if the information is not accurate. So I understand her need and desire, wanting to, preserve what she learned and teach new generations. But it definitely written to counteract some of the bullshit that was just being put out here in these streets. I'm on the fence about whether or not, somebody, I've seen people who have grown up and non-people of color and living in Black communities, Latino communities, and are fully culturally entrenched. And I understand that. And I understand that there have been people accepted into the certain spiritualities and religious circles. And if they are down and they're a real ally and they're true in their heart, that's between them and the spirits. But as far as whether or not I think that they should then become the foremost authority in any conference or mystical circle on their non-ancestors, I don't care for it. But that's me. And I can make a choice. I would honestly say I might read the book one day, but I've got 50 million other books that I really want to get to that I'm reading and that is not involved in this so-called controversy. But like I said, whatever the contents of the book are, it leads to a bigger problem, and it's going to have to be one that we have to look at and solve ourselves as Black people. Is, do we create these works? Back in the day, if you had a grandma who was a worker, if you were lucky, she might have left you a book of some scribbles, her book of shadows. But, what exactly do we want to write down? People have asked me to record my hoodoo classes. I'm like, no, even though I'm using modern technology, I am trying to still keep that level of personal, hands-on instructor, mentor type of relationship alive. Just taking advantage of this format that we are able to use, okay? I don't want to record things. First of all, people bootleg. Secondly, every class and every interaction I have with my different students is quite diverse and quite different. And I do enjoy that organic growth of somebody spiritually. So no, I don't, people asked me one day, if you got to the point where you had to mass produce your candles, would you? No. So there are some things that I am kind of old-fashioned about. I'm learning different types of candle making. My next foyer will be into figural candle making because I want to sell my figural candles fixed. Everybody can sell a figural candle. I want to sell them fixed with my herbs. And so I've been forcing myself to learn candle making, and it has been interesting, challenging, and it's not as easy as they make it look on YouTube. But, as far as, am I going to write this down, put it in a book, tell everybody I know? I don't know. I don't think so. And so, yes, I do agree that there were people of all races involved in the Underground Railroad. But the book's title specifically is Conjuring Mother Moses, Harriet Tubman. And everybody's sitting around here like, Really? Okay. So, I really want people, they don't teach, somebody says they don't teach, tells you, that alone tells you who it isn't real. Well, that's the thing, right? If you have family recipes, you're not going to teach that. You're not going to give that away. I don't care about if it's whatever type of recipe it is. If you found it, you keep it, and you make it for other people, right? Or you teach people how to make their own, which is where my thing is in here, okay? And you have to exploit, and there are a couple of people, that have had to turn certain books away. So like I said, my thing is my distancing from the man who wrote the book, as well as the people who are being really nasty about supporting him, is because of the attitudes that were taken. And I don't like it. But, and I was telling that person that was harassing me in my inbox last night, we call him he who shall not be named. I told him, I was just like, I just liked something. And I loved it. And I have every opportunity, provocative, what do you call that? Prerogative to do so. When, and constantly, the people who have told us that they've respected ATRs and that they were guests and they understood their place. They've literally said this. Black folks didn't have to say it for them. Have then done everything but that. And, it's like, that's the disappointing part. Because you'll read about them talking about Voldemort. You'll read them talking about how they respect the traditions and blah, blah, blah. But then they will shit all over you if you say, you know what? The people who are the descendants of the tradition don't care for this. Because at that point, it ain't about us. And that's the thing. That's the biggest problem I have with non-POC in African traditional religions. If you don't give a fuck about how you, and I'm sorry, voodoo is also about reputation, okay? So what people think of you, who you are, what you are made of, what you are capable of, if you don't consider the descendants of those spirits in your decision making, or you show them absolutely no love, and in fact, you might even be racist. People, I don't know about the other ATRs, but I know within voodoo, there are certain spirits that do not consort with non-black people. And I was told that first by non-black people. They were like, when that spirit shows up, we get the hell out the way. And I'm just like, wow. It's just like when I ask my gay friends, and I'm bisexual, how are you part of a religion that doesn't like you? And I don't understand that. How are you part of a religion that doesn't like you? Because I definitely was like, I got to find something else. Because they don't like gay folks. So, okay, let me not. And so, yeah, wow. And it took a long time for me to figure that out. Because folks never talked about gay people in the church. And then folks really started clowning, and I was just like, wow. So the reason why you weren't talking about it, because you was really wishing they would all go away. Exactly. It's just, I just don't understand why people don't love their own cultures enough and tap into their own ancestors. And, even those books I would read, because I have a mixed ancestry and a passion for understanding magic. But what happens is we have the intentional or the unintentional distortion of the truth. People don't understand how you can write with omission rather than fairy tales. And we've got a lot of people whose brains have been twisted by people who really don't know what they're talking about. When I first started practicing, I was introduced to this person, that person, and I was told, this person's legit, this person's a fraud. And that's pretty much panned out to be true, except the scales of the fraud side started tipping, and I don't question whether or not anybody's legitimate in whatever they do. You can say you doing you whatever. But am I going to grasp onto you as a religious mentor if you don't have any ancestors and ancestral practice? Where are you getting your power? Where are you getting your juice? Where is this connection other than the one that people fabricate in their minds? And so, I keep asking this question and nobody answers it for me. How do you venerate ancestors in an ancestrally based tradition where you have none? Do you adopt ancestors posthumously like the Mormon church baptizes people after they die? Is that how this works? Because if you didn't even have like I said, I know people who have grown up in our communities, who have had basically been taken in by people of color. They don't even know any other life. I never forget, I was not living at the time. I used to visit my aunt always there, but yeah, I was staying there, I think. LeClaire Courts used to be projects, really nice town home projects in Chicago. And of course, as of all nice housing projects, they tore it down. It was a really cool place to spend my summers and grow up. And I remember when I was in high school, went over there to visit my auntie, and I'm standing on the bus stop and I hear these two sisters and they have the same voice. So it's wigging me out, but I got my back turned and they are going off and they are talking about some dude and woo. And I turned around and it was these two white girls. I damn near fainted. I went and asked my auntie, I'm like, who are these girls? And she went to tell me about how when the projects were first built, it was very racially diverse. And then when white people were able to get out of the projects, they moved to the other side of 47th Street. And literally, I witnessed a vehicle accident where the white people stood on one side of 47th Street and black people stood on the other side. So these two young women around my age were the last vestiges of white people who still lived in that community. And the thing was, I was just like, man, will they ever be able to, I didn't have the words for it at the time because we never said the words white privilege, but I'm thinking, will they ever be able to blend in? Because they are most certainly culturally not what white people consider to be white. And I wonder where those girls are now. But you have to know that is few and far between. And so, maybe, there are certain people who are very, very, very sincere and for real, but what I have seen over the years is that's slim to none. And we've talked about, I'm trying to get back to the first African temple of ancestor veneration, and sorry, my computer is trying to restart, and to get to venerating some of these ancestors like Mother Moses and Frederick Douglass, but Marcus Garvey, and all of our gone but not forgotten ancestors, because my friend Matt, she hit me up to this. She was like, we don't venerate our people here. We got blood and murders, blood spilled and murders right here, and nobody is calling on them. We're reaching way back to primordial spirits from Africa, but our own ancestors we are ignoring. And that is a crying shame in any ancestral practice. But that still is not acceptable for someone to say, well, we wrote the book because none of you all would. Maybe we weren't meant to write that book. Maybe we were meant to, as we have always, orally and communally create, hello, Mads. That's my friend's cat. Create spaces and places of veneration for our ancestors. So that's the task for us. It's not really write more books. But when an organization has been called on the carpet numerous times for not being diverse, yet presenting Black people's religions and cultural beliefs and other religions and cultural beliefs of people of color, and not having any of us there, yeah, it's problematic. You know? Yeah, she always would say that she was telling us because our grandmothers wouldn't teach us, but she doesn't know our grandmas. And the more and more I talk to Black people, our grandmas was doing this shit and they did teach you. You learn by observing. Didn't nobody say, come over here and do this hoodoo with me. That's not how this works. Okay? Frederick Douglass, I don't think he was ever called Freddie. Anyways, and so we are, as a people behind the 8 ball when it comes to venerating our ancestors and doing right and following our cultural traditions. Get down, do not get up here, cat. Look at this cat. This cat fat as hell. Say hi, Mads, bye. Get out. She didn't grow up in the South. And she said she had a teacher from Oakland, but nobody knows her name. Nobody can trace this, she, in her bibliography, she's got where, she got a lot of her information, but none of her information cited in her book. Yet she wants to always accuse people of plagiarism. And the thing is the information it's not hers to be stolen from, It's commonplace folk traditions and Latin names and other names for things, and none of those things are owned by pretty much anybody. There's conjure wherever there's Black people, Ochani, there is conjure. And Oakland was primarily Black, and there were workers out there just like there were workers everywhere. I mean, you wouldn't even know that in Chicago right now. We got a lot of botanicas and mystical shops and magic stuff, and we got one candle store, but there are no Black people conjure stores anymore. I think the last one, Ruby's Candles, is now, I think that is run by Paleros. It's not, what one would, no, don't get on me. One would consider a conjure store or a hoodoo or, voodoo store, so anything like that. In Chicago, at one time, I asked my mother-in-law, I was like, what happened to all the workers? She said, I don't know, baby, because there used to be one in every building. I know there was one in my mama's building that my grandmama went to. So anywhere there's Black people, there's magic. Anywhere there's Black people. And Oakland has been Black for how long? Now it's going back into being gentrified and things like that. But Oakland was a solid Black community with a very large Ifa community, if I am correct, or Lukumi, for a very long time. Decades. Okay? Yes. So we take, like I said, right. Like you said, the more you learn about your magic, you realize that our people, they was doing some stuff. And you didn't even know it. I'm like when I finally sat down and I started studying this, I'm like, wait a minute, we do that. We did that. Wait, that's magic? Who knew? And so, well, I think that there are, oh God, not Oakland. God, no. Go and read some stuff about the gentrification of Oakland, Ochani, where they calling the police on Black people because they church music is too loud. Church has been there for what, fucking 100 years or some shit like that. No. I shouldn't eat on camera, but these munchos was calling my name. So anyways, so yeah, I think it's a quandary. And I think it's funny how Some of these non-white conjurer or non-POC conjurers are coming to me, crawling out of a bag. I ain't heard from you in years. Talking about how you support me. You ain't got to support me. All I have is opinions. When I tell people that they're learning hoodoo as I learned it. I learned it from a combination of non-POC mentors, some sisters who imparted knowledge to me, books. But I'm going to tell you, all three of those things were instrumental to getting me rolling. Okay? But at the end of the day, what has really changed me as a magical practitioner has been my relationship with my ancestors and my spirits. You can't get that in a book. You can get a start in a book. And that's why I always tell my students, you got to read. Even reading books by people of color, because you got to see what's out there. You can't speak on authority about anything if you don't know about it. And, the reality of the matter is the book just may be great. But like I said, I just think that, Jesus, sit down, have some respect. And, that if they're not your ancestors, I just don't see how it can be, overall a good thing. And it's sad that maybe it's this person and it's this book, because I've heard from other people of color that the book is great and he's respectful and all that other good stuff. But it's sad because we've got all of this other bullshit that keeps getting pumped around us that makes us bristle when what we consider to be someone who is outside the ancestral line comes in and does certain things like this. So the nastiness that ensued was what made me post the post I wrote last night, which is how I believe in ancestral magic practices. Or if I didn't, I wouldn't be in one. And I'm still asking the question, if you ain't got no ancestors in the practice, who you working with? I'll wait. Now, what I think has been done, what I know has been done, is, and we do call it whitewashing of hoodoo. In order to make it profitable, in order to make it palatable, just like Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, all those different things that were moved from the pagan calendar to the Christian church, so is hoodoo. Because the people who practice hoodoo were made to become Christians. And then after years of indoctrination, chose to become Christians. But that did not slow their roll magically. You can still go to a spiritual church on the south side and get yourself read. I don't know if you want to have all your business in the street like that, but there are prophetesses. They're using holy oils. They're lighting candles, using incense, all this stuff. Herbal healing, laying of hands. That shit just didn't pop up organically in the Christian church. It came from African religions. So, when you're coming out of said environment, it's really good to have, and I'm thinking that I'm going to restructure my book as a memoir. That way I can't, nobody can pinch off of it or try to jump the gun with it. But I think that it's very important to write from a Black perspective about the shift from Christianity to voodoo and to other African spiritualities, things that I think that beginning practitioners should know. So maybe it's going to be, so you want to be a root worker. Maybe that'd be the name of the book. I don't know yet. But whatever the case is, you heard it here first. But it's to me, it really can't be this running record of how to do spells or how we venerate our spirits, when that is not the nature, and these animals are clowning in this room. That is not the nature of how our practices go. Right. So, right. And then, like I said, it's impossible to work the roots if you have no roots. In the roots. I keep saying this, but they keep insisting that they can, and I'm just trying to figure out how. Because how can I be, I got called a bigot last night. I've been called worse. How can I continue to ask this question and not get any answers? It's so funny because the same people that will do this will then turn, possibly initiate, and then get mad at somebody else because they believe that Oshun has called them and they don't need a priest to reach Oshun. But those same people will, non-POCs will get all in a tether about that. And I'm like, okay, you're right. How can someone try to attach themselves to a deity in a religion when they're not adhering to said rules of said religion? Okay? But let's backtrack this a little bit. Let's talk about conjure. This is a magical practice that was a religion, if you want to call it unstructured or whatever, the melding of our many African nations, traditions, spirits, and practices, because they separated us, so you weren't necessarily near people who spoke your language or venerated the same gods and ancestors that you did. And that was done on purpose. Remember, this is, 16, 17, 1800s. We ain't that far into Christianity. Even in the 17th century, what was that? I'm trying to think of when Agrippa was written. Was that 1500s? Okay. And most magic, period, is empowered by ancestral spirits. Even what we call Christian magic, they always talk about their guardian angels and stuff. Aren't those your ancestors? Aren't like spirits that look out specifically for you? Do they just randomly pick? You get to go be with that person. Hollywood would tell you that. Okay? But that's the thing. The westernized point of view, and that was a point I was supposed to be getting to and I completely missed, is that in order to make hoodoo, conjure palatable, just like the Catholic Church made Christianity fun by, transferring these holidays, they did the same thing with hoodoo. It's Christian. It's a combination of Catholicism and Haitian voodoo. And I'm just like, not really. Okay. And so that made it more palatable, but it was built on a lie. This inclusion of, and then let's get this right. People keep saying we securitize our spirits and their saints. Just like they took the holidays. Okay. And Sunday, Monday, all these names after pagan gods. They also took and made their saints in the image of not so much in the image, but in the energy of our spirits. And so that's why we were able to find that interconnectivity. Black people were not randomly out here assigning saints to our magic that had nothing to do with the task at hand. So, a certain person moved. It was cheap. No, I don't understand, but I don't spend all night talking to these people because it's just, crazy, and but like I said, I keep asking this ancestral question. You want to practice hoodoo. You want to initiate into voodoo, where, especially Haitian voodoo, because Haitian voodoo is the religion of revolution. remember when I said there are certain spirits that don't like non-black people. Hell, they probably don't like non-Haitians. I remember I was at a fete once, and I was one of the few black people there, and when them spirits showed up and they tried to get me to attend to her, and I was like, I ain't black enough, because you go over to Haiti and you will realize that we are considered Blanco. We are Americans. Okay? We are Americans. Okay? And right, yes, I know. And that's what people really like. That was a light. That was a light that just went bling, bling, bling. Can you, when my mambo gave us some reading materials, and those reading materials were linking the voodoo spirits back to the ancient Egyptian deities. I'm like, wow. But you know, people keep forgetting Egypt's in Africa. So, you know, this is, you know, any of that hoodoo mess. Yeah, these people, yeah, what is it where people want to crucify you for having an opinion? I don't like the situation. I am very disappointed in the players in said situation. I would prefer things to be different, but since they're not, I'm just going to be like, say what I got to say about a little piece, about very little piece, and I'm going to go about my business. And I tell people, just like, I was telling you all earlier, when I teach hoodoo, I say you have to understand the combination of the things I've been taught, but more than ever, I've been really spirit-led. And I've started to incorporate that into my teaching, and astrology into my teaching. They'll tell you astrology has nothing to do with hoodoo. They'll tell you crystals have nothing to do with hoodoo, till it's just stripped bare to a few Christian saints. You know, they're going to tell you animal sacrifice ain't got nothing to do with hoodoo. Man, they will tell you all kinds of things to make it more palatable, to get you to buy more. It's shameful. And so in this age of heightened sensitivities, and yes, sometimes I do get really tired because everybody get offended about something, pissed off. Because really, honestly, if I had cussed dude out like my West Side inclination would have done, I would have said some very politically incorrect things, and y'all might have been mad. But, and my battery's running low, so I gotta quit. But I realized a couple things. I am a priestess now. My job is to never let a motherfucker see me sweat. My job is not to sweat. My job is not to reduce myself to the base level of bullshit that goes on out here in these internet streets. I got rules on my page. You can't abide by them. You gotta go. I've had people like mad stalkers pissed off because I deleted them and want to continue the conversation in inbox or email me. And I just stopped talking because I don't have to. What's that? I think that was Benjamin Franklin said, talk softly and carry a big stick. I already got a loud ass mouth. It's not necessary for me to extend it everywhere where I definitely don't feel like what I got to say is even falling on the ears of the intended target. So I just say no. I don't have time. I'm not going to do this. But I'm not going to put up with a whole bunch of nastiness, and I'm not going to put up with attacks on black women. I'm not going to put up attacks on women of color or any woman from the patriarchy. That's just not going to happen for me. But first and foremost, I'm black. I was black before they found out what my sex was. That's what people don't seem to understand. 76% African, 24% European. So by this nation's rules, I was black before I got a vagina. Figure that one out. So, well, that's the thing, you know, he said something to me. He's like, you think you have this big stage. I got 29 people watching right now. Ooh, that's just like this huge, gigantic stage. But what he seems to be missing, and I've said this time and time again because I need people to understand this, I ain't trying to roll up in this. I did not come up in here with dreams of conjure fame and fortune. I did not come saying I'm going to be the most powerful voodoo priestess of all time. But my ancestors said differently. And some of the people who are my mentors, including Mama Star, who was the only person who called me when I deactivated this profile because I simply had a fucking enough. And she said, you can't. That's your destiny. When I went to my Mambo for a Hunsi consult, she was like, excuse me, Mambo? I was like, what? I don't want no godchildren. I don't want to do this. And this business, there were no teachers. And I'm seeing people do all kinds of fuck shit to their lives, and they're asking for black teachers, and I'm a teacher, and I write online courses for a living. What was I supposed to do? See, when you sit on your God-given gifts, the goddesses, they give you things. They give you abilities. They give you gifts. Not everybody shares the same talent. I'm going to actually see if I can paint and draw. That would be interesting. And if it's garbage, I'm not posting it. One of these days, I'm going to take some time and paint something. I buy all these canvases and stuff like that. And I'm like, I need at least to make it some sigils or something. And, it's like, yeah, people have, people do have stages based on their flamboyant behavior. And he's one of them. And I never wanted my stage built on that. What I wanted my stage built on was I sell a quality product that's researched, prayed over, charged, and works. That is as hard as processing these orders can be sometimes. We're just getting to the place where we're making multiples of things so that the next time the order comes through, we'll have some. We never did that before because we didn't have the need and I didn't want things to go bad. So, that's and the people who really want to connect with spirits and people who want to get initiate into an ATR or any other form of witchcraft or study the occult sciences have someone with some goddamn sense that will lead them, hopefully, prayerfully, and I pray about it all the time, in the right direction and to get them started. And so people are like, well, aren't you worried about people are not going to, I hope that I try, and I'm trying to be more, I know I've been on Facebook Live a lot, but, I've been working. We're still working on orders from like the 15th of December because I had a private customer sale for my group. So all those poured in after we finished the Black Friday sale. So, yeah, but, I wasn't counting on any of this. I definitely, my retirement was tiny home, by myself somewhere in the goddamn woods, whittling away at these courses and just living my best life. And now it's like I have to make considerations about, okay, well, am I going to open a store? Am I going to stay online? Can I leave the country and still keep the business open? How am I going to serve my voodoo house? Do I need to move to Haiti? There's so many things here, and yeah, and I believe that I've been put in an elevated position and, but not to the extent dude was talking about last night. I'm not in the point where I am going to sit and there's nothing to get a big head about. That's another thing about these ancestors. I don't know about his type of witchcraft, but in ancestor-based tradition, you can't get a big head because you're not doing this shit. It's them. It's them all around you. So there's no, people tell me my stuff works and how I'm the best. Yes, people love that. People are on some bullshit. Of course we like likes and we like people to admire us and we like people to talk to us that agree with us. I don't want to spend all day long arguing on Facebook. Fuck that. I got a life. I'm going to be 50 years old in February. That's probably more than halfway for the average American. So the reality of the matter is, I'm trying to live my best life and follow my spiritual calling the best that I can, to the best of my ability, with all of my heart. And I'm not worried about a platform. If there is a platform that I seek, it is this: that Black people in this country become acquainted with the spiritual practices of their ancestors, so that they can make a free, willing, and educated decision. Shut up, Ochani. Make a free and educated, and biased in their own ways, because everybody has bias, decision whether or not they're going to pursue this path. And so many people that I love and I've become close to, and my family and my friends, have come this way with me. And it's like their lives change. And that's what my platform should be. My platform. Well, thank you. I'm definitely on and popping. I feel like I'm 25. And I look at my pictures when I'm 25, and I don't look much different except for these really dark circles. But that's because I be putting in work. I've paid my dues. I've gone to school. I have a master's degree in literature. I know what's out there, what's been written about us, for us, by us. And yeah, in a way, I would say it's not enough. But in a way, I'm be like, it's too much. It's a very strange and hard quandary to be in, because you do want Black people to learn about the practices of their ancestors. So what I do is I teach. And I show people how to make magic their own. How to research herbs and roots and energies and planetary alignments. And then for those who don't have access to tuition, sometimes I give scholarships, sometimes just being able to buy an oil or an herb and get started and get on the work, and have descriptions and product instructions on my page. So if you buy something from me, you know how to use it. I gave you little tips in the product descriptions, like don't sit your ass in ho no mo. Don't feed it to anybody. Don't feed any of this to anybody. This is topical entertainment use only. Because I won't want people doing certain things that will harm themselves. And so even people who have taken my classes, know how to make their own stuff, they still order products from me. And more importantly, they order herbs from me, because they're doing their shit. And so, if that is what, and I know that's what Mama Star was talking about when she was talking about keeping this alive. And it's like, I've had to make some refinements. You can't have everybody in your house. But doing it virtually has worked. But, once again, I'm going to be selective about who I choose. Even I do divinations for 201. Not every person of color who asks is taught by me. And I don't think you should take it as an insult. Sometimes it's for practical reasons, but sometimes it means I'm not the teacher for you. So when you learn hoodoo from anybody, from a book, from a class, from a workshop, from standing next to somebody, family member in your kitchen, you're learning their way. Those ways change from region to region, from family to family, from tradition to religion. There are so many variables. But the fact is that we start. And so while I do value books and reference guides and things like that, I don't really need somebody other than my religious choice to dictate how I venerate my ancestors. Or I can read a history book. So like I said, there are just some things that I think that when, especially given this climate, and I didn't used to feel this way. I was told that I've become a bigot. No, I've become intolerant of intolerance. And as a result of being intolerant of this intolerance and this racism, though those things which are sacred to us, I'm going to hold dear, because nobody wants to be Black when it's time to really be Black. Everybody wants to be Black until it's time to really be Black. But so when you can cut your hair, comb it back, straighten up your accent, unlike, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if those two little white girls from the projects are able to code switch that I told you about. But when you can roll back and do that, your experience is not mine. And I would prefer reading about our culture and our experiences. It's just like anthropology, okay? I love anthropology. I used to love Margaret Mead and Jane Goodall. I wanted to grow up and be them, and my parents convinced me I needed to go to college for something else. I should have been an anthropologist. But I think that I would read their work and watch their videos with quite a different lens now that I know about colonialism and white oppression. And I might actually take issue with some of their methods. So, the intrusiveness of it all, let me go. Even Jane Goodall sitting among the gorillas. Yeah, I know you wanted to save them and everything like that. But did the gorillas want you there? Did they ask you to come in and step in and immerse yourself in their environment and in their ways? And wasn't that a little awkward and maybe dangerous for you to do? The same thing with any other anthropologist. I don't mind textbooks and things like that being written from an anthropological perspective, but there is a certain level of intrusion that bothers me. And guess what? That's my opinion. Nobody has to like it. Basically, I think that he was also alluding to threatening, trashing my name and my reputation. Like, you think you're big shit now, but you wait and see. Well, 98% of my customers are Black. Money's green. I will read for white people. I have lots of reading clients. Not lots, but quite a few. I have thousands of customers. But I have quite a few, and they buy my products, and they listen to my Facebook Lives, and they get what I'm saying, and they completely and totally respect that. But if they all got upset with me for feeling the way I do about our ancestral practices, I would not be closing my business. Because my business is powered by the people it was designed for. Why was it designed for Black people, you say? Because there was nothing. I mean, there was something. Let's not belittle all of the Black conjure workers out here who have websites, had websites, been in this game way longer than I have. But some of the things that I've implemented, especially with the virtual learning and the root work intensive, that was not out there. It wasn't out there for people to see, okay? My computer just shut down on me, and I got to boot it back up because it's messing with my light. I'm trying to, there we go. I'm lighting it up again. There we go. I don't need that computer anymore tonight anyway because I'm going to bed. But, that's the thing. People talk about ruining you, and I was never in this for the money in the first place. This has all been an amazing blessing to me. And because it's been a blessing to me, I keep trying to give more. Offer more, do more, make more products, make more formulations, bath bombs, soaps, oils, candles, pour my own, classes. Now we got the bone throwing class, and we've got a mindfulness and meditation class coming up, and we're going to get back into the crystal classes again because we want it. And we want it in a place where we feel good about learning it, where we're not othered or made to be seen like somebody's exotic sidekick or pet. That's the thing, right? And not charging people way up the ass unnecessarily for things. I think about what it's costing me, and you might see some prices going up, or I've taken some prices down. I'm really, as I make moves to make my business more profitable, because I'm sure I'm doing a little bit more than breaking even. But to increase profits, I have to understand how much, number one, it costs to make each product. Then I have to understand how much I'm paying to get it shipped. And then I have to look at my time. I have to look at what the market will bear. Okay? And so, right, they charge thousands and don't teach them shit. Initiation, thousands. They don't learn shit. And I'm not giving away initiatory information in my classes. And sometimes the more I learn about voodoo, I've actually had to go back and change certain things in my hoodoo classes, because I realize some of that stuff is initiatory information that somehow has leaked into popular culture from people who can't hold water and people who are appropriating our shit. So, it's a real gentle balance. Hold on, my thing is trying to find me. There, we got my light again. So, that's my goal. When I was first approached about this nonsense, because like I said, they'd have to pay for my ticket and my hotel and all my food to get me to go to PantheaCon again. Because that first year I was there and they was lecturing on ATRs and there wasn't no black people on the panel, I was just like, fuck is this? When I had to ask my former mambo, where are the black people in our house? The fuck is this? This isn't what I signed up for. And I was still at a crossroads with Christianity then as well. But I just did not like that particular convention at all. But there have been black conventions I don't like. They don't teach them shit. And I go and I'm like, what are we doing here? I'm not coming back. I've been asked to speak again. I ain't going back. No, can't make it. Sorry, y'all on some foo-foo bullshit. And I don't understand any of it. It's just really just too new agey for me. And so I just had to stop. I can't believe it's 2:30 in the morning. Y'all let me talk too much. But anyways, I'm getting ready to go. Y'all should be asleep. Every single one of y'all should have your asses in bed. Okay? But understand this. My opinion is my opinion. I don't like the way any of it went down. But I certainly do not like the behavior of guests in our traditions and the way they have behaved. And I don't have to like it. And I can love whatever the fuck I want to love. And you don't have to like me. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to buy my products. It's okay. Someone will. I'm assured of that. Okay? It's 11:30. Yeah, y'all living a life out there in Cali. But I'm not worried about any of that. The spirits will continue to lead me where I want to go. And within my heart, before I saw what anybody wrote about said book, PantheaCon or anything, when I found out about that book, I was just like, and didn't say a word. And when it was brought to me, I was like, you know what? I ain't fucking around with them white witch wars. Nope. I'm not the one. Not getting into it. But then when I see, black women maligned for standing up for our lack of representation at these conferences, and why do you have this person doing this? And my understanding is there's some other folks that probably shouldn't be on that bill either. And I'm not going, you got up. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm going to let you go to bed. Blessings, my boo. No, thank you. I'm reading. Bless no. Hi, Kay. I'm reading the thing. This is, which tells you I'm sleepy as shit. But this is the thing. I saw the book and I was just like, this is not a good idea. It's not a good look. I don't care how sincere you are. This is not going to be good. I knew it wasn't going to be a very good look. But wasn't my business. Did nobody ask me? And when I was asked, I have an opinion, but like I said, I don't really think that highly of myself that I felt like I had to spread my opinion, okay, to the entire world about it until sisters started getting attacked for having an opinion. And that's where I draw my line. You're not going to come at my sisters like that. You're not going to come at Beverly. You're not going to come at Irene. You're not going to come at Kay. Kay talked about it too. You're not going to come at any single black woman that says, hey, I don't like that. And you can criticize it on a number of levels. You can criticize it on the fact that I don't like the fact that we're not writing books about this stuff. Or you can say, and that somebody else is and got to it before we did. You can say, I don't like the fact that there's a book being written about it. You can say, I don't like that there's a book being written about it by, somebody outside the culture. You can have those opinions. You can not like things, and I, like I said, I don't go on y'all's walls and comment on the shit you post that I don't like. Because I just be like, And depending on what you write, I just delete your ass. I ain't got to say nothing to you. But what ain't gonna happen today, no any other day, is for somebody to tell me that I can't have my own opinions. And you ain't got to like them. You ain't got to be friends with me. You don't have to be a customer. You don't have to be a divination client. You most definitely will never be my student. If you're not down with my ideologies and concepts, I don't want to entertain space with you. People are always saying, what about the other side? I know the other fucking side and I don't like it. I'm not so fucking slow that I can't go and read. I do not delete you. I don't have to go on, on people's pages and read things from people that I don't like. And I don't follow and don't care to see about. That's my decision that I make online every day. And it's really sanity saving. A lot of people should try it. But the fact that I don't like it, okay, if you don't like that I don't like it, I don't give a fuck. For people who have known me, and there's people on here who have known me for over 20 fucking years, I don't give a fuck. Didn't give a fuck then. I most certainly don't give a fuck now. So, keeping that in mind, I don't know if everything, I believe that you should study as a conjurer. I do believe that there are valuable resource information out here for you to learn how, as you begin your spiritual journey into craft spells. But then at some point in your life, you're going to have to learn how to, I really probably should plug in my phone, but there's a dog on top of my backpack, so I'm going to cut this short. But at some point, like they say, let go and let God, let go, let the goddess, let go and let the gods and the goddesses. You are going to have to, your spirit, your work is going to have to be spirit-led. And so, like I said, I've seen books on various religions, and some of the stuff is supposed to be proprietary, secret information. It's just out here in these streets and often incorrect or inaccurate on purpose. So understand that those deeper levels of spirituality, the books and the reference guides and things are things you can come back to. I can't remember all the names and purposes and elements of all these herbs, but I know a lot of them now. And I'm not looking in anybody's book trying to figure out how I'm going to craft a spell. Now, if it's a new type of spell work within an organized thing, say like ceremonial magic, then yes, I'm going to have to learn that. Right. Mother Nature, gods, goddesses, spirits, ancestors, whatever you want to call it. That's who should be leading your magic. Everything, including me, is just the jumping off point. So, you guys have a nice night. Like I said, I've said what I had to say about the situation. It wasn't against the author personally, because he's been nothing but kind to me. It's just the whole thing puts bad taste in my mouth. And then when folks start showing their asses, then you see people for who they are. These are really great clearinghouse types of activities, and you keep it moving. And I suggest for your own safety, sanity, and stability, you do the same. Have a good night, y'all. Good morning, anyway. Bye.